This conference will now be recorded.
मुकल्लिबल कुलूब या 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 मुकल्लिबल कुलूब अल्लाहुम्मा लक सुजूदी व ताअती शुक्रन लिल्लाहि वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। या अली मदद अजीज सर।
या अली मदद, बहुत खूब, बहुत खूब, बहुत ही शानदार तरीके से आपने इस तस्वीर को पढ़ा, बहुत खूब, शुक्रिया, थैंक यू। तमाम साथियों को या अली मदद and welcome to our Sunday session. As you can see, the title of this session, it is very unusual, and inshallah with your prayers and Imam's mercy, we will try to learn, understand something new and different today. I would request Ferial for the Ginan, and after that with some prayers, we will start our session, inshallah. Ji.
ए जी तू ही गोरा, तू ही नारा, तू ही अभी आशा, श्रेवा तमारी हम कीजे हो सामी जी। ए जी काफी का रमुनिवर तमारी छे आमने मानसा रूपे साहेब जानो हो भाई जी तू ही गुरा तू ही नारा तू ही अभी आशा हाय जिंदा
सुभान अल्लाह, सुभान अल्लाह, सुभान अल्लाह, बहुत नवाजिश. Let's start this session with Imam's Mubarak name. Nur Maulana Shah Karim Al Husaini Hazir Imam, Hazir Imam. Ya Maulay Mehrban, Madad Farma, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Mawla Madad Farma, Ya Mawla Madad Farma, Ya Maulay Mehrban, Ya Maulay Mehrban, Tawfiq, Tahid, Himmat wa Yari Mawla, Tawfiq, Tahid, Himmat wa Yari Mawla, Ya Mawla, हम गरीबों पर रहम कर मौला, अपने नूर से हमारी मदद फरमा मौला. या मौलाए मेहरबान, हमारे करीब आ जा मौला, अपना मुबारक हाथ हम गरीबों पर रख मौला, कि हम कोई इल्मी काम कर सके मौला. या मौलाए मेहरबान, तू जानता है हमारी गुर्बत को मौला. या मौला, तेरे बगैर हम कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते हैं मौला, तेरे बगैर हम कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते हैं मौला. तेरी मदद की अशद जरूरत है मौला. प्लीज हेल्प अस मौला. Help us, Mola, with your nur, with your blessing, with your khana vadan, Mola, so we may learn, understand, and follow your true path, your faramin. Ya Mola Mehrban, Madad Farma. Ya Mola Mehrban, Madad Farma. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Madad Farma. तमाम साथियों को एक बार फिर या अली मदद. And thank you once again for joining us this morning. Wama Qadrullah Hakka Qadre. Very unusual and strange ayat in Quran. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Wama Qadrullah Hakka Qadre. 3 मरतबा खुदावन ताला कुरान के अंदर ये कंप्लेन फाइल करते हैं. 3 times this complaint is filed in the Quran that the Muslims, the followers, the believers, the readers of the Quran have not recognized, appreciate, understood Allah. हम कदर किस चीज की करते हैं? हम कदर उस चीज की नहीं कर सकते जिसको हमने देखा, जाना और पहचाना नहीं है. Who can you appreciate and understand? You cannot appreciate and understand someone you have not seen and not understood. But Allah said, as a complaint to the reader, that you have not understood and recognized, and therefore you do not appreciate Allah. What an amazing complaint, and what an amazing subject to be discussing today. I'm very excited. This cannot be, and I don't think it is, a regular, common subject. Such a subject cannot just come from anywhere. It has to be the mercy, has to be the rahmat, the help of Allah, the Imam Zaman, for us to be taking such a hard subject, unknown subject, unthought of, and then comes with the question. I believe this group of people have matured enough throughout the months and throughout the lectures and throughout the years that today, after 2-3 years of learning and listening, we could cover such a subject. How do we even understand कि लोगों ने खुदा की कदर नहीं की? Can there be anyone who believe in Allah? Anyone who believes in Allah, regardless of religion. And then especially those who have followed the Rasul, the Quran, and through the ilm and the hidayat of the Rasul and Quran, why and how would they not appreciate Allah? But you can see, not once, but 3 times in Quran. मुमकिन कैसा हुआ कि जो शख्स रसूल को कुरान को मानता हो, अल्लाह पर ईमान लाता हो, और फिर वो अल्लाह की कदर ना करे, लेकिन आप देखते हैं कि एक मर्तबा नहीं 3 मर्तबा ये कंप्लेन आई है कि लोगों ने अल्लाह को नहीं अप्रिशिएट किया, उसकी कदर नहीं की जिस तरह से उसकी कदर करनी चाहिए थी. The question is, have we recognized and understood Imam as we should have? Again, let's look at this ayat very closely. As we understand, one cannot understand or appreciate something which they have not seen. अल्लाह की जैसी कदर करना वाजिब थी, वैसी कदर ना की. The way they should have appraised Allah, appreciate Allah, they did not. They did not truly appreciate and appraise Allah the way they should have. That is the ayat, that is the complaint, that people did not appreciate Allah in the way they should have. The reason I'm repeating again and again, because it has to penetrate your heart and your mind. Because this is not a normal question. It's not a normal complaint. It's not the complaint you and me would file कि ये मेरे को नहीं मानता है, ये मेरी बात नहीं सुनता है, ये मेरे को appreciate नहीं करता है. This is not a normal complaint that you and me will file. Or our parents will say, why don't you appreciate what I have done for you, boy? Or the son is saying to parents, you don't appreciate what I do. This is not a normal complaint. It's not a humanly possible complaint. It is not boss telling the employee and employee telling the boss that you don't appreciate the work I am doing. This is the complaint Allah Himself is filing against the reader of the Quran, against the Muslimin, against the believers. And look at who is filing this complaint. Allah is filing this complaint against us. Us. And the question that comes in mind, have we recognized and understood and appreciate and appraised Allah? How do we appraise and appreciate Allah? Mullah Ali Murtaza Salawatullah alayhi says, I would never pray to the Allah, the one I have not seen. मैं कभी भी उस खुदा की इबादत ना करूं जिसको मैंने नहीं देखा. In other words, how can I appreciate someone, the one I have not seen? In the time of Imam Mustansibullah or Imam Jafar Sadiq, a moment comes to the Imam and says that amongst the Jamaat there are few who believe that you are Ali Allah. Is it possible that on the day of Qiyamah we will be able to see Allah as per Quran? In Quran you will find few ayat that on that day there will be righteous mu'mineen who will be looking toward Allah, and their face will be glorious, shining, bright, lighted with the nur because of the reflection of the nur on their face. And the moment asks Imam, is that true? How do we understand that? Imam replies, are you not looking at Allah today? And Mu'min instantly replies to Imam, I'm looking at you, Mola. Should I go and tell others that I have seen and found and recognized Allah? Imam says, if you do that, if you go outside and tell this to others, they will not understand you, they will laugh at you, they may even harm you. जब वो मोमिन ने पूछा इमाम को कि कहते हैं कि क़यामत के दिन कुरान के अंदर रेफरेंसेस है कि हम खुदा को नफ्स नफीस फेस टू फेस देख सकेंगे और उस दिन मोमिनों के चेहरे उसके नूर से रोशन होंगे, तो क्या ये बात दुरुस्त है? मौला ने फरमाया कि क्या तुम इस वक्त खुदा को नहीं देख रहे हो? बंदे ने जवाब दिया, जी खुदावंद, मैं आपको देख रहा हूं, मैं क्या जाकर सबको बोल दूं? इमाम फरमाते हैं, नहीं, ऐसा मत करना, क्योंकि the concept of Ali Allah is for the righteous Mu'minin Ismailis. Within the Ismailis, this concept is for those who understand, who recognize. And Imam says, आप बाहर जाके नहीं बोलना, don't go outside and say this thing. लोग आप पर हंसेंगे, आपको झूठा समझेंगे और आपको तकलीफ देंगे. This concept of Imam and recognition of Imam is only for the Ismailis and the belief in the Imam as the Noor-e Ilahi, as Ali Allah. This concept is for us and us only where you believe. यानी कि आप समझ गए कि अगर आपका यकीन नहीं है, ईमान नहीं है, तो वो आपके लिए भी नहीं है. If you do not believe at the level of that, then even this concept is not for you. It's for only those who are at the peak, at the highest of the recognition of Imam and who have understood the Imam. They are the only one who will be able to appreciate what they have and what they have received, where they have taken the birth, and who the Imam is. You see, qadar us waqt ho sakti hai. Only you can appreciate something if you believe and recognize and understand. wama qadrullah haqqa qadre. क्या आपने अल्लाह की कदर की जिस तरह से कदर करनी चाहिए थी? Did you appreciate what you have? Do you understand what Imam has given to you? Do you understand and appreciate where you were born? How fortunate and lucky we are that not only we are born as Ismaili, we are born to the good, faithful, hakiki मोमिनीन्स. ना सिर्फ हम इस्माइली पैदा हुए, बल्कि अच्छे ईमानदार मोमिनों के घरानों में पैदा हुए और उनके पीछे पीछे हमने इमाम को पहचाना. And you will find this division. Some will say that Ali Allah is correct. Imam in 1945 in Dar es Salaam Mission Conference says, it is your ignorancy that you do not say Ali Allah, not that Ali Allah is incorrect. That is Imam's Farman. You know to whom? Not to you and me. We were the गरीब and nobody. मेरे जैसे कोई फकीर लोग वहां नहीं बैठे हुए थे. You know who were present at that time? The elite of our tariqah, the scholars and bhagats and missionaries of our tariqah were present in that mission conference where Imam was giving this farman. This was the day the foundation of our religion classes, the one we call REC today, our mission classes. This was the conference where we formalized our religion education. And name brand missionaries were sitting there. In example, Abu Ali. So you see what Imam is saying, in that mission conference for Man. You know what he said? Wama qadrullah haqqa qadri. You don't appreciate what you have. It is due to your ignorancy, not that it is wrong. You do not appreciate the way you should appreciate. When this ayat was revealed, not once but twice, जब ये आयत उतरी, एक मर्तबा नहीं 3 मर्तबा, उसके बदले में रसूल ने भी कंप्लेन की. When that complaint was filed, not once but 3 times, Rasul also complained. Now my question would be, is this complaint was to the Kafirin, Mushrikeen, or the Muslimin? ये कंप्लेन किसके खिलाफ फाइल की गई? काफरों के, मुनाफिकों के, या मुसलमानों के खिलाफ फाइल की गई थी? And look at the complaint and you can see the references on your screen. Don't believe me? Look it up. Look it up yourself in the Quran. Rasul also files a complaint by saying, "O my Lord, my people," meaning Muslimin, "have taken this Quran with negligence." उन्होंने कुरान को के ऊपर तवज्जो नहीं दी है. उन्होंने कुरान पर तवज्जो नहीं दी है. "O my Lord, my people treat this Quran as something to be shunned." शंट किसको कहते हैं? ब्लॉक कर देना, रोक लेना, नजरअंदाज कर देना. कि लोगों ने, मेरे लोगों ने, मुसलमानों ने इस कुरान को नजरअंदाज किया है, ब्लॉक कर दिया है, इग्नोर किया है, तवज्जो नहीं दी है. They have treated this Quran with negligence and they have shunned, blocked, ignored, refused to take and understand. Which Muslim will accept this complaint? They will say, "Nauzubillah, I'm not amongst this. I'm not amongst those who have shunned or neglected or ignored the Quran." So which Quran have we have neglected and which Quran we have shunned on both sides of the aisle? हमारे तरीके में भी और दूसरे तरीकों में भी, दोनों तरफा गफलत हुई है. We have and others have neglected and have shunned the Quran. Now the question is, which Quran? Which Quran? Let's look at which Quran is the true Quran and which Quran if we have ignored and neglected and shunned. In this ayat, I will let you do the research and find this ayat. Make a note of all these references so you can come back tomorrow and say, I have read these references and I found those references as you had shown to us. Personal search. थोड़ा तो हार्ड वर्क करना पड़ेगा. अगर हमको सीखना है तो थोड़ा मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. जालिकुल किताब. जालिकुल किताबे लारे बफी फी हादिउल मुत्तकीन. Zalikul, that is, not this, that. Haza, Arabic word haza, means this. Zalikul or zalika means that. Pay attention to that. Zalika का मतलब होता है या जालिकू का मतलब होता है वो. हाजा का मतलब होता है ये. यहां पर फरमाया गया वो किताब है जिसमें कोई भी डाउट्स नहीं है. किनके लिए? मुत्तकीन के लिए. Righteous mu'minin are guided in that book which there is no doubt. Which there is no doubt. And I have translated under each word. If you want to take a screenshot and read for yourself, Zalika, that is, that is. Al-Kitabu, the book. La Reb, no doubt. Fiya, in it. Hadiyun, guidance. Al-Muttaqeen, the righteous mu'mineen. That is that book, there is no doubt in it. A guidance for the righteous mu'min. Underline word, for the righteous mu'mineen. वो जो कुरान है, ये कुरान नहीं जो किताब हमारे हाथ में है, वो नहीं. वो कुरान जो है उसमें कोई भी शक नहीं है और वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ मोमिनों के लिए जो पाकीज़ा है, जो ईमान लाए हैं. जिसने ईमान लाया कि ए मेरी उम्मत, मैं आपके लिए दो चीजें छोड़े जाता हूं, मेरी किताब और मेरा वसी. O my people, I leave you with two things, my book and my progeny, my written silent book and my speaking Imam. I leave you with the book and the Nur, the silent book and the speaking book. And that speaking book has no doubt. That speaking book has no doubt. The word is Zalikul, that. And the reference is in front of you. If you like to take a screenshot or write it down in your book, I would encourage you to read that from the Quran yourself. If you wanted to find the word Quran-e-Natik for the Imam in the Quran, here is not one but two references of that. And we charge no soul except its capacity. And with us is a speaking book, Quran-e-Natik, with truth, जो सच बोलती है, and they will not be wronged. Second reference, this book speak about you in truth. Indeed, we have transcribed whatever you do in Wakulle Shain Asanafi Imam Mubin. That book, everything is written. There is no doubt. And Allah said, I have that speaking book with us, which speaks the truth. Question remains. You see on top of every screen, question remains, have we found that speaking book? Do we believe in that speaking book? Have we found that speaking book in this book? Meaning, have we found the Imam in the Quran? Or have we learned the Quran from the Imam? What are the question? Have we found the speaking book in the silent book? Have we learned from the Imam, the speaking Quran, this silent book? Or have we found the Imam Natik, Quran Natik from this silent book? Because those are goes together. इसको उर्दू में क्या कहते हैं? लाजिम वो मलजूम है कि इमाम से हम कुरान को समझ सकते हैं, कुरान की तावीलात को समझ सकते हैं, और कुरान में हम इमाम को देख सकते हैं, इमाम को ढूंढ सकते हैं, इमाम को समझ सकते हैं. ये इसको लाजिम व मलजूम कहते हैं. इंग्लिश के अंदर necessary. Without the Noor-e-Imam, one cannot read and understand Quran. Without the book of Quran, one cannot understand and recognize the Imam. It is necessary for each other. लाजिम व मलजूम है एक दूसरे के लिए. Allah also complain. If you're not amazed yet at this subject, Allah also complain. Why don't we pay attention? Why don't we pay attention? What is wrong with us that we are not paying attention to what He is showing us, He is telling us, He is teaching us, He is trying to take us from one to the next. In one of the other class, just this morning, we were talking about that why have we not paid attention and asked question when our tariqah is tariqah of logic and intellect, and the Farmane Ali Murtaza is to ask before you lose me. Ask. Iman is the foundation of our tariqah. And then with the firm Iman, we must do personal search. ईमान हमारे मजहब का पाया है, लेकिन उसके साथ उसी के साथ असूल दीन और मजहब को जानना जरूरी है. और इमाम क्या फरमाते हैं? इल्म वाली रूह दर्जा ब दर्जा ऊपर जाएंगी. इल्म वाली रूह. Because the more you know, the more you understand, more you will recognize the Imam of the time, the closer you will come to the Imam, you will appreciate what he has given you and have done for you and is doing for you. जितना ज्यादा इल्म होगा इतना ज्यादा आप उसको जान पहचान सकेंगे, उसके करीब आएंगे और आपको उसकी हिदायत और ज्यादा मिलेंगी जिससे आप उससे और करीब जाएंगे. So two references here. First complaint. What is that? Why don't we pay attention? They do, they do, then do they not reflect upon the Quran? They don't not reflect upon the Quran as there are locks upon their hearts. What is the reason that you are not paying attention? Is it because that your heart is closed, locked? क्या वजह है कि आप तवज्जो नहीं देते हैं? क्या आपने अपने दिल को बंद करके रखा है? दिल को ताला मार के रखा है? अक्ल को बंद करके रखा है? अक्ल को ताला मार के रखा है? What is the reason? That is the question and complaint. Then why don't they pay attention? In Golden Jubilee, again and again, for 18 months, our attention was drawn toward the Hadith Saqlain, that I have left you two things, the Quran and my Itrat, and the ayat of the Nur, Nuran Allah Nur. Again and again, why don't we pay attention? How many of us remember even that for 18 months our attention was drawn toward this fact? The second, Allah has sent the book down with the truth, while those who disagree about the book go much too far in opposition. नौज़बिल्लाह, मौला हमको माफ करे कि खुदावन ताला ने हमारी हिदायत के लिए कुरान किसके लिए था? कुरान मुत्तकीन के लिए था, मोमिनों के लिए था, हमारे लिए था. लेकिन इस किताब को, जो सच्ची किताब है, हमने झूठा बना दिया और हमने उसको इग्नोर कर दिया, उसको शन कर दिया, ब्लॉक कर दिया और उससे हम डिसएग्री करने लगे, नौज़बिल्लाह. और उसकी वजह से हम अपोजिशन में बहुत दूर निकल गए. Instead of in the favor, we have gone too far in the opposition, meaning we went on the other way, not on the path of the truth, on the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim, on the path of Imam. Sometimes Jamaat argues, why do we need Quran when we have the living Imam? Why do we need Quran when we have the Quran? Imam, Hazir Imam, himself in last 65 years have given us more than 100 farman on the Quran. Aren't we supposed to follow the farman? Sultan Muhammad Shah, Salatullah alayhi, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam, have given also dozen upon dozens of faramin on the Quran. And look at this ayat. This ayat is speaking to us that Allah has sent this book down with the truth, haq, fact, while those who disagree, I hope we are not part of that. Not this group. We are not part of that. while those who disagree about the book go much too far in opposition. वो कुरान के बारे में गलत सलत बात करते हैं, इमाम के बारे में गलत सलत बात करते हैं, और I am sure each one of you know somebody who talk ill about the Quran and the Imam. We all know those people. This ayat is in front of you. Make good reference of that. Point number 7. Point number 7. This is a direct reference of the Imam with Quran. The Nur, the Hidayat, and the Hadi with the book of Quran. Thus, we have revealed an inspiration of our Amr, command for you. You did not know what either the book or faith were. We have sent it up as the Nur. Did you see that? कि आप नहीं जानते थे कि किताब क्या है और अमर क्या है, गाइडेंस क्या है और नूर क्या है. हमने इस किताब को नूर बनाकर आपकी तरफ भेजा है. मैंने सामित किताब को बोलती हुई किताब बनाकर नूर की सूरत में, इमाम की सूरत में आपकी तरफ भेजा है. You don't have to take my word. Write down the reference. Read it for yourself. Noor, the light, by means of which we guide. What guides us on Sirat al-Mustaqim? The Noor, the Imam, by the means of which we guide. Our servant whom we wish, you are guided toward a straight path. और हमारे मोमिनों में से, हमारे बंदों में से हम जिसको चाहते हैं इस सिरात अल मुस्तकीम पर बिठा देते हैं. You remember a few minutes ago we were talking about how fortunate, lucky we are that we are those Ismaili who are on Sirat al-Mustaqim, guided by the Amr Ilahi, guided by the Noor, the Imam, and we are those chosen one who have put on this Sirat al-Mustaqim. Then if we don't appreciate him, what can we say about ourselves? अगर इतनी नवाजिश के बावजूद अगर हम इमाम के दामन को छोड़ देते हैं और इमाम को समझने में कोताही करते हैं, तो फिर हमारे लिए क्या कहना चाहिए? What words can we use other than वमा कदरुल्लाह, कि तुमने खुदा की कदर नहीं की है, तुमने खुदा की कदर नहीं की है. What else can we say about that? I will leave you with this ayat. I hope you are making good notes of this, taking screenshots of this. Look at what Allah says. There are some of them who pretend to listen to the recitation of Quran, but we have cast veils over their hearts, leaving them unable to comprehend it, and defense in their ear, deafness in their ear. कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जो कुरान तो पढ़ते हैं दुआ भी पढ़ते हैं, आयत भी पढ़ते हैं, सूरे भी पढ़ते हैं, लेकिन वो समझते नहीं है, वो प्रिटेंड करते हैं, खाली एक्शन करते हैं, खाली ढोंग करते हैं माफी के साथ। They just pretend to read the praises of Allah, but they don't appreciate Allah. They recite the ayat, but don't understand. They pretend to read the dua and the ayat and surahs and Quran, but they do not believe in it. Even if they were to see every ayat, ayat has lot of meanings. Ayat, the verses of Quran. Ayat, the symbols, examples of the Quran. Ayat, the miracles. Even if they see every ayat, the miracle, they still would not believe in them. That reminds me of 40th Imam, very first Farman, at the age of 8 in 1885. Mullah says, this is Dore Qiyamah, and the Mu'mineen will see the miracles, but they will not believe. They will not believe. This ayat talks about that. That Farman and take this ayat. Even if they were to see every ayat, every miracle, every symbol, every allegory, they still would not believe in them. They disbelieve, the disbelievers would even come to argue with you. And we have seen this in this very line. People will come and argue with you about the Quran and Quranic ayat. And Quran talks about that. Quran made the prediction of those who goes against the Quran and argues about it. कुरान के अंदर इसको 1400 साल पहले इसकी प्रोडिक्शन की गई थी कि ऐसे लोग होंगे जो कुरान को पढ़ेंगे, यकीन नहीं करेंगे, आयत को देखेंगे और बिलीव नहीं करेंगे. This Quran is nothing. What is their argument? Their argument is कि ये तो पुरानी किताब है. Recently somebody was telling me that this Quran is 1400 years old. But we still believe in Mullah Ali. He was here 1400 years ago. We still believe in Muhammad. He was here 1400 years ago. And Khuda himself is the Qadim. Khuda himself is Qadim. And we believe in Allah. You see how the false argument take place in the heart and it destroys your heart. आपने देखा किस तरह से शैतान आपके दिल में वसवसे डालता है और ऐसी ऐसी गंदी आर्ग्यूमेंट डालता है आपके दिल में कि आप बोलते हैं अरे ये छोड़ो, ये तो पुराना हो गया. I wanted to tell you another thing I just remembered. Sometime with the utmost ignorancy, you will find our own Jamaat will say, oh, Sultan Muhammad Shah ke farman to purane ho gaye. Sultan Muhammad Shah farman, those are old. Don't worry about them. That shows the ignorancy at the highest level. How can we say the Faramin of the Imam are old? Hazrat Imam himself, in his very first Farman to the Jamaat, have said, I will follow on the footstep of my grandfather. He I admire. He is my ideal. And हम कहते हैं कि मौला के फरमान पुराने हो गए हैं. That shows the ignorancy at the highest level. जहालत की इंतहा है कि जब खुदा ना खास्ता हम कहते हैं कि मौला के फरमान पुराने हो गए हैं. I will stop here. This is our day 2. This subject we have divided in 2 parts. I'm not going to read this part. I will let you see this part. This is our day 2 next Sunday session. Let me stop here so we have some time for comments and questions. G.
Yeah, the chat is open, so whoever would like can type your question in the chat.
Hello, Yali Madad, sir.
Yali Madad.
I have a thought that went through my head this last Kushali. We say 65 years of Imamat, but in my mind, Imamat has been there right from the beginning. It is not just 65 years.
Mm-hmm. So is there
That is the
a
thought.
thought? Okay. Well, you are correct, but we are talking about the 65 year of Hazri Imam's Taknashini. So there are 3 ways we can say. Some would say 65 year, others can say 1400 years. And even then they would be wrong because Imamat is always and always and always and always present. Meaning Imams are always present. So it doesn't matter what number you put on, it would not be 100% correct, but that is the correct way of thinking in our time, 65 year of Mola Bapa's Taknashini Imamat. G. Next.
I also have a thought about the son, because I believe that the son was there right from the beginning of creation.
Yes. Do we have any question from this subject, today's subject?
Not for now.
Okay.
I have to read the ayats in the Quran, then I'll get
G.
back to you.
Thank you. G. Kyal?
Aziz sir, I just have a question. I'm not very clear about that the Farman, but Sultan Muhammad Shah once had said, in 70 years of my life, I have changed my Farman 70 times. I had read this Farman in one of the books. So do you have any, like, can you put some light on it, please?
Sure. So, Faramin are according to the time and place. All of you know, I'm sure, there are 4 types of Farman. 4 types. Farman for the location, a place. Farman for the time. Farman for the Zahir and Farman for the Batin. The Farman for the location continue to change. Meaning there can be a Farman for one country or one environment, one culture compared to the other country, other environment, other culture. Second type is the Farman for the time. In this time you do this, tomorrow can be another Farman, you would do that. So Farman can change. The third, the physical Farman. Again, those Farman are also can change. Because today our need maybe is different than our needs of the past. Then the Rouhani Farman. Amongst the Rouhani Farman, there are Asul Deen which never changes. But how, when and where part changes. So Sultan Muhammad Shah said that follow my latest Farman. I will give you one example of 2 Farman, one of Sultan Muhammad Shah, one of Hazri Imam. Of course, you will always follow Hazri Imam's Farman. Sultan Muhammad Shah said, when a girl is 14, 16 years old and boy is 16, 18-year-old, they must get married. Mullah Papa said, even if you are 35-year-old, if you are not firm on your feet, do not get married. Which Farman we will follow? Current Jama Hazir Imam's Farman. Because this Farman overrides the other Farman. G. Next.
There, so somebody is referring to verse 3967, which they say was mentioned on the first page of the slides. So what does it mean that on the day of judgment, the whole earth will be in his grip and the heavens will be rolled up in his right hand? What is the meaning of this?
All right. That's a good question. Simple example. उर्दू के अंदर बोलते हैं कि ये सब मेरे हाथ में है, मैं जो करना चाहूं मैं कर सकता हूं. You know, we say that in our language, right? It's all in my hand. I can do whatever I want. I'm overpowering. I'm in the power today. That's what it means, that I have the power over all, and all the heavens are with me in my hand. Simple explanation. This is not the complete explanation. Because remember, tawil upon tawil upon tawil. G. Initial understanding. I hope this helps you. G.
Okay, the next question is that as Ismailis, we all know the Imam. So then why did the peer have to emphasize in the Ginan, Ek fikr amne tamari che munibar bai?
G. Do we really recognize the Imam? Do we really? Ask yourself, do we really recognize the Imam? That's exactly what Peer is saying. I worry about you. Oh, my brothers, when you see the Imam, you see him as a human. That worries me. And he was absolutely right in this worry. We should be worried about that too. That do we see Imam as a human? How do we see Imam? Do we know the Imam, or have we recognized the Imam? Because if you ask Mr. Trudeau, he will say, oh, Aga Khan, I know him. Do you know Aga Khan the way Trudeau do? Or do you know the Aga Khan as the Noor-e-Ilahi? You see, knowing a person and recognizing and understanding a person is a two different things. Look at this subject. Have we recognized and understood Imam as we should have? G. Next.
Someone would like you to put up the last screen of this session. I'm not sure if there's going to be a question based on that, but they just would like to see the last screen of this session. Okay, in the meantime, someone else is asking, which Quran can Ismailis read with the meanings?
All right. That is not a reasonable question, but I will answer. There is no Quran with meaning. There are only Quran printed with translation. Did you understand that? There are no Qurans with the meaning. Because meaning means tawil, understanding. There are only Qurans available with translation. If your question is, which Quran can we safely read with translation? I always recommend that read or have one Quran of a Sunni and one Quran of a Shia writers. So you can compare and see how this author compared to this author have translated the same ayat. For example, Zalika. Sunni will write this Quran. Pickthall will write that Quran. Because their belief is that Allah must be talking about this Quran. When the word is Zalika, that Quran. So you see, even in the translation, there are mistakes made due to the beliefs, because they don't believe in that speaking Quran, so they say this Quran. Ji.
That's interesting about the question about the Quran, because on the screen itself, that was the last slide that someone else had requested. It kind of speaks to this issue that you can have all the verses, but still people would not believe or would argue about what the Quran is saying because they have veils over their hearts. So I think we're saying is that we have to find ways to remove these veils, and where we should be able to start that process of removing veils over our hearts we can understand.
Subhanallah. Ji.
Okay,
Let's
there is
take one or two more questions. Ji.
there's nothing really related to the topic as I can see. The only remaining real question is sometimes Hazrat Imam advises individuals. Can we take that as a firman for us?
For example, you have to give an example for me to answer something like that.
Okay, yeah.
We
So if I think that was Muhammad's question, if they'd like to unmute. Somebody else is asking to unmute Rabia. You should be able to unmute. I can try to unmute you, but you should be able to unmute because everyone's mic is open or allowed to be open.
What was the question, Kial?
The previous person had asked, Muhammad had asked that sometimes Hazrat Imam advises individuals. Can we take that as a firman for us? I'm not sure what that really means, if they mean for everybody or for...
Yeah, exactly. Because you have to see what is the advice is before we can comment on that.
Right. And Rabia is asking to unmute, and I sent you an unmute request. Rabia, you should be able to unmute on your own, but you should also have a request on your screen that says unmute. But if not, besides that, someone's asking if there's any plans to discuss Ginan meanings, because Imam has emphasized on understanding the Ginans.
We have done that in the past. I would request you to look at that file where we have explained many Ginans, especially those Ginan that had to do with the Rouhaniyat. We have explained. I would request you to look up that file and listen to them. Then if you have any question or any other Ginan you'd like to for us to take and explain, we can do that definitely. It's not a problem.
Sir, I have a question, or perhaps a thought that you can explore further. So, if since we're all very well familiar with the hadith about that the Quran has a batin, in fact, has 7 layers of batin, and perhaps even 7 more or 70 more. And if that is the silent Quran, the book, and then we also know that the Imam is the Quran al-Natiq or the Kitab al-Natiq, the speaking book, would that not imply that the Imam also has, meaning his words as well as his reality, his hakika, would have 7 or 70 layers? So that when we talk about recognizing the Imam, I think that is perhaps one of the key points to understand, that just like Quran has meanings of ta'wil, the Imam's words and his reality also has ta'wil.
That is true. I agree with you. So there are veils upon veils. Let's look at one of the example of Quranic verse. For example, Allah says, I made this world in 7 days. 6 days I created the world, 7 days I sat on the throne. In the same Quran, further down, Allah says, when I wish something, I say kun and it happens. How can we say that if Allah can do something with the kun fayakun, it took him 7 days? That shows that Allah has put veils upon veils upon veils on the understanding of Quran. Why do we need the book, the Quran? So we can understand the Nur, the Imam. Why do we need the Imam and the Nur? So we can read and understand the Tawil of the Quran. That's what is called Lazim wa Malzum, necessary for each other. There are 2 parts of Quran. One is silent, one is speaking. One is the book, one is the Noor. One is a book, one is a living. But we need to understand both, so we can see how they are one. And when were they one? What time was it when the book and the Imam were one? At what place? That answer can only be given by the Quran, the book, with the Noor of the Imam, the light. One last question if you like, otherwise we can stop here.
There is a
Yes, this is
question.
Rabia on. This is Rabia on the phone now. I got unmute. I have unmuted myself. Aziz bhai, I just want you to explain Surah 42 with 52 have sent our Amar for you.
So in other words, Quran have sent the book, the revelation. Along with that, he has sent an Amar, the permission,
Ji.
to the Noor of the Imam. So there is a book, there is a permission, Amar, and then there is a Noor. The
Ji.
Amar and the Noor stays together with the Imam, and the book, the revelation, the ayat, and the tawil and the understanding stays with the book. So you need both. Without the Amar of the Imam, no one can do the tawil of the Quran. That's what it means. You find that Amar so you can read and have the tawil of the Quran.
जी. Thank you very much. मौला आपको दीन दुनिया में सुखी सलामत और आबाद रखे और सारे आपकी सेवादारियों की सेवा कबूल करे. Thank you for the time, participants का सबका हार्ड वर्क, आप लोग का आने का, हम लोग को आराम से घर में बैठ के अल्लाह मौला बापा ने अपने को ये हम लोग को प्लेटफॉर्म दिया है.
शुक्र मौला.
I so appreciated कि जितना बोलूंगी उतना कम है.
शुक्र मौला. Thank you so much.
मौला दीन और दुनिया में सबको पार्टिसिपेंट को भी आबाद रखे.
Amin. Those friends who like to have the recording of Ginan, please share your name and phone number on the chat so Cal can share. If you don't share your phone number or the name, he will not be able to share with you. Gee, was somebody else trying to say something?
There is one more question.
sir, मौला आपको सुखी सलामत आबाद रखे.
Amin. Thank you. Thank you everyone. Yali Madad.
يا المدد
Yali Madad.
Mulali Madad, sir. Thank you so much.
Yali Madad.
I don't know how to.
Yali Madad.
बहुत ही मजा आ गई. रियली बहुत ही मजा आ गई. और अब मैं क्लिक करता आपको. बहुत ही अच्छा समझा आपने. हमको कुरान के तरफ से बहुत ही अच्छी रोशनी मिली. और दूसरी खुशी की बात ये है कि आज प्रिंसिपल